Hi, I'm Ben here from StickTwiddlers, and I'm here with Tim Willits of id Software. Tim, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us today.
Yes, it's very exciting to be here.
So, I mean, obviously you're here at Eurogamer Expo 2011, not only showing off id Software's latest, for IP and franchise Rage, but also to celebrate 20 years of id Software legacy. I mean, what has been some of your favourites over the, the past 20 years of id Software?
Wow, I mean that's a huge question. I mean, they're all so different. They really are. Yeah, they're all first-person shooters, but they're all so different. Like, learn to play deathmatch in Doom, the 3D aspect of Quake, watching Quake 3, launch competitive gaming and really move it to the mainstream and seeing people use our tools to get jobs in the industry, seeing our engines and mega titles. I mean, it's woo. I don't know what my favorite thing is. Rage is my favorite thing, but yes, it is very exciting to be a part of something so significant in our industry.
I mean, as you mentioned there, like. Titles like Quake and Doom were, integral in really getting, multiplayer, especially like competitive multiplayer, like into the mainstream. And obviously, even with the sort of more modern FPS titles coming out, it's still like a huge thing. People can actually make money now, via esports by playing competitively. What do you think the next 20 years is going to hold for multiplayer?
Well, I mean, multiplayer is huge, and it's the social aspect of gaming. Is enormous. The myth that gamers are this lone kids in the basement, that is gone. And so you're going to see a lot more connectivity. You're going to see games integrated more with like Facebook-type apps, mobile-type apps. People are going to be always online, regardless of where they are. So the future, especially for multiplayer, because we are social creatures, is very bright.
I mean, one of the things that you mentioned in the conference this year, the 20 years, is that it was talking about how Doom was really trying to push the Nintendo sensitivities. Again, you said he had nothing against Nintendo. It was kind of just those things. What do you think are the sensitivities still in gaming today? And have you done anything with Rage? Are id Software still trying to push those sensitivities?
Well, we're a bit more mature and older now.
Less rebellious.
Yes, a little less rebellious. Because Doom, when it came out, and like I said in the talk, games were just not that over the top, and they were not, with the whole blood and gore. And gamers, I mean, we've all matured. There are we make games for adults. It's adult entertainment. So you don't really have that shock and awe that you had back in Doom. And when you look at Doom now, it's really not. It's just kind of like, it's almost kind of silly now. But at the time, it was like, whoa. For Rage, again, we focused on the gameplay aspect. Yes, it's a mature rated title because it's still fun to take off a head with a wing stick. But that really wasn't, the focus of the game. And you don't really need that type of over the top. Blood and gore to sell titles. You need to make them great. That's how you sell titles these days.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, id Software's titles were one of the first to kind of push the necessity to have a graphics card, and to exactly with Quake 3, and we've seen we've played Rage here today, and again, it looks absolutely gorgeous. Last year you were talking about id Tech 5 and mega texturing. Are you still really trying to push like the graphical capabilities of modern hardware? And do you think there's still plenty of room to go with the current hardware that we've got here today?
The current hardware is very powerful. John Carmack really is kind of the leader in graphics. He did take a slightly different approach with id Tech 5, making it cross-platform. But the ability for us to move that many textures that exists within Rage, the ability for us to get 60 hertz on all the platforms was a technical challenge in itself. John has stated that there is a bit of a plateau with graphics these days, but that doesn't mean that technology is slowing down. There are still a lot of other approaches to tech that developers can take. There's still a lot to do with physics. We have a long way to go. We have a long way to go with AI. We have a long way to go with animation, storytelling. So again, there's so many different paths that game developers can take these days. that I just know we're going to see some amazing titles in the next 5-10 years.
Yeah, so speaking of which, you were mentioning sort of stuff about animations. Obviously, one of the big kind of graphical mind blowers for a lot of games this year was the work that Team Bond did with and Rockstar did with LA Noire. What do you think about the kind of the motion capture there and the facial recognition software?
Yeah, that stuff is amazing, and it really does. I mean, especially for that game. That game is all about talking to people and having that interaction. They pulled it off so well. In Rage, if you get that close to a bandit, you better shoot him. Developers need to focus on what types of technology will highlight their game. And, for us, mega texture, 60 hertz, robust AI is really the focus that we wanted with Rage.
I mean, just from playing the demo that we played at Rage, the one that you previewed in the Legacy conference as well, you can really see that with the AI. You're not in a situation now, they will come running towards you, but you pop a couple of shots of them or you take some of the mates, they will start running. Yes. They're not going to want to hang around to catch a wing stick to the head.
Yeah, we have, so each of the bandit clans in Rage have a different fighting style. So we have aggression. So some of them, like the Wasted guys, will run at you, but they have a high degree of fear, and they'll run away. The Ghost clan, they'll run at you, they have no fear, so they'll stay and they'll start beating on you. We have like the Shrouded clan that has a very low aggression and no fear. So they'll take cover someplace and they will dig in. So because we have this human-based combat, besides the mutants, we really needed to make each of the bandit clans fight differently. So you're not like fighting the same guy for 15 hours. I think we did really well with Rage.
It looks fantastic. Also, one of the things with id Software as well is that it really kicked up the modding, modding for gaming in a big way. There was talk with I believe mainly around Skyrim, basically talk about how there was discussions about how they wanted to bring modding to consoles. Do you think that's at all going to be possible? And how do you think that the modding community, which id Software essentially, really helped out? Yeah, definitely would kind of work in a console platform.
Well, there are some huge successes. Look at Little Big Planet. I mean, you cannot go wrong with the using that as an example. But it is more difficult. Developers do need to engineer their tools for the control interface of the consoles. It's not something that we did with Rage. For the PC, of course, you will have the tools available after launch. But I do think some developers like Little Big Planet will start to add more tools, more homebrew content, because that really just adds to the life of the title.
So one of the things you hinted last year about as well is that I didn't hear anything in the conference, and I haven't heard anything sort of from memory online, is that there's going to be a multiplayer mode for Rage. What is it that you can tell our viewers basically about the multiplayer that's coming to Rage?
Sure. We have two multiplayer components. One revolves around the vehicle combat mode. We call that Combat Rally, and we have different game modes within Combat Rally. And the great thing about that is you can race towards these rally points, or we have Carnage mode, and at the same time you can engage your buddies in combat. So that has XP base, so you can upgrade your vehicle and you can have some cooler weapons for it, and that's a heck of a lot of fun. And then we have co-op. So on the consoles you can play split screen or online, and in the PC of course online. And those missions, co-op missions, are extensions of the single-player campaign. Like if you play a mission in single-player, you can go and play the co-op version of that, and it's a different mission, it's a different, and at times different level, but it kind of adds to the story, it adds to the fiction. And we wanted to do something different in Rage. It would have been easy to just make another deathmatch because we've been making deathmatch forever. But we thought, you know what? We want Rage to be different. We want it to be special. We want it not to follow the same formula that we've done in the past. So we think that this multiplayer offering is very compelling.
Well, I mean, it's definitely fantastic to hear that, for the guys who essentially created multiplayer, you're still really pushing the bar to, you're not sitting there kind of sitting going, yeah, we made deathmatch and we could run with that for another 20 years, but let's see what else we can do. And that's really refreshing to hear, and especially as well the fact that you're including local split screen, which is something that we found that was been really kind of dying out quite recently. More and more people seem to be pushing to like kind of online multiplayer. Have you got anything to say about that?
Yes, if you have co-op, you should have split screen in your game. Yes. Because if your buddy comes over and plays, it's no fun if he's got to bring his own console. So damn it, have split screen. And so I'm a big split screen proponent.
Excellent. So it must be, part of the old school. I think you're probably the same as me. You sort of remember having your buddies over, sitting there, two controllers, trash talking. Even when you're working together, you still will try new things out.
Yes.
One of the things I really have to ask as well is at the end of the Legacy, and we even came across it in the demo as well, is the Wolfenstein room. Fantastic homage. And I know that you said that there's also a Doom and a Quake room, and you said they're incredibly difficult to find.
Way more difficult.
Are there absolutely any hints that you can give any of these?
Come on, brother. The guys back at id would roast me if I gave any hints. But heck, they didn't even want me to show the whoop room. But it is definitely something that whoever the first person that finds that will definitely need to post a walkthrough on YouTube for everyone else to find it. But each of the areas has a special reward that you can pick up and you can sell. What's funny is that people, when they find those and they pick them up, they don't really do anything in your inventory, and you're supposed to sell them for money. They're worth a lot of money, but people they hoard them. And I say, why do you still have the wolf goblet? Because I like it. All right, you can leave that in your inventory if you want. It's just so funny how nostalgic people get to the old titles.
Definitely. I mean, even most of the games I completely hoard, like anything in this. Like just even the smallest kind of item, and I'll sit there in the shop and like, I never use it, but I kind of still like the fact that I can flick to my inventory, like, yeah, that's there, I got that, and you can kind of show your friends and stuff. Maybe that's the kind of mentality that it comes from. Also, with the cyber boss, cyber demon boss.
Greatest boss ever, no back talk.
Have you tried to beat that in Rage? Do you think you'll ever be able to do better than the cyber demon? Do you think you must have? I imagine there's like sketches, drawings. You've been working on this for years.
You know what? When you have a classic, and when you have the pinnacle of badassness, you tend to let that go. We've had some great bosses in all our games, but for some reason, the Cyber Demon just strikes fear into everybody. Yes, there are games that have much more complex bosses, but they're not as cool as the Cyber Demon. So I have love for Cyber Demon.
There are some fantastic weapons and equipment in Rage. You've got the sentry turrets, the wing sticks, and obviously you've got such a mass variety of ammo. What's your favorite weapon and ammo, and what's your favorite bit of equipment?
Definitely the wing stick. That's a signature weapon. I love it. And I like the pop rockets for the shotgun, which you need to make, and the fat mamas for the pistol. If you have fat mamas, you have pop rockets, and you have wing sticks, you are a badass.
Okay, so finally, can you tell people when they can get Rage and where they can get it from?
Okay, Rage will be available October 7th for all the platforms, PC, PS3, and 360, and you should be able to pick it up at any of your local retailers around town.
That's great. Tim, thanks for a fantastic interview, and I'm really looking forward to playing Rage some more.